Thank you very much, Maharaj. We feel very greatly blessed to personally hear from you after a very long time because you are abroad. Although we hear your recordings, thank you for the class today. Very beautiful class. Maharaj, in the early days of ISKCON, I heard that because of certain type of culture of missionary spirit orientation, there was a lot of damage because of devotees not paying attention to their families, children, and other things, and things were like falling apart. And many people became devotees, but it was not very sustainable. And as the movement took its decades, from my perspective, I see you like a father of sustainability. You know, uh, that's my observation. So since I came here in 1991, I've been observing how you have made all of us feel very safe, secure, and sheltered, and very protected. And we deeply owe a lot to that because in a fast-paced modern-day world where people are highly insensitive and cruel, you have created a kind of like a big banyan tree giving shelter to hundreds of birds. So given a very wonderful shelter to thousands and millions. So that type of sustainability has given a very soothing experience of being at home. When we come to Chaupari Temple, as well as in all the communities across the globe. At the same time, I have a question about, like a pendulum, we have the missionary spirit on one side and sustainability on the other side. Down the line, I sometimes fear, although there are devotees who are engaged in missionary activities sincerely, seriously, sometimes I find that people who get into taking care of their basic needs, like making the home happy, the wife and the children, and having a good job, and people, being first of all making the home a happy home. Sometimes some of the principles which you said just now, in answer to our Anandamadan Prabhu's question, I really deeply appreciate in your lectures. You stick to the true north principles. You always emphasize on the sadhu sangha, or doing the spiritual activities. So like book distribution, or Harinam Sankirtan in the streets, or opening news centers, and actively preaching, traveling preaching. Like I see Sridhama Prabhu and his wife, in this way, these are some of the activities I feel very joyful. Sometimes I question myself, is it wrong for me to be too superficially calculative about what is missionary activity and what is success? So I wanted to know, uh, this is my understanding. On one side there is missionary spirit, and other side sustainability. Sustainability also increases the number, undoubtedly. Whether all that number is inspired by missionary activities becomes a question mark. So that was a question to you, Maharaj.
That was more of a lecture than a question. It's a very instructive, enlightened lecture. Thank you. Our sadhana, our missionary spirit, in order to be sustainable, needs to be in a setting where it's fulfilling. Ramananda Rai, when asked by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is the greatest suffering? Ramananda Rai said, to be without the association is the only suffering I know. So the association of devotees, we should be making each other happy. But we should make each other happy in the proper way. And this is where sustainability comes when there's balance. Sattva guna is the mode of balance. Rajaguna not so balanced. Tamaguna, not balanced. We are Vaishnavas. So each person has particular gunas and karmas. Varnashram dharma is where people are engaged according to their natural propensities. And to engage our own natural propensities and to encourage and teach people to engage and facilitate where they can engage their natural propensities for the pleasure of Krishna and the service of Krishna is what Daivi Varnashram Dharma is. And Srila Prabhupada taught by his own example. There may be a mother. She has a baby. But she may be cooking some cookies and giving it to the Sankirtan devotees to distribute when they go out on Sankirtan. There may be a father who's working and he's doing his sadhana and he's giving some portion of his, a significant portion of his earnings to facilitate the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his guru. The pujari, Srila Prabhupada was so encouraging to everybody. When I was young, I was told to be a pujari for about 7 years, taking care of cows. And so many of my godbrothers were opening temples and distributing hundreds and thousands of books and going on Harinam Sankirtans and risking their lives in the middle of big cities. And I'm just getting kicked by these muddy cows up on a mountain and worshiping deities in the freezing cold. So how am I spreading this movement? What is my missionary activities? Well, when Srila Prabhupada came, he considered that this was every part of the Sankirtan movement is spreading the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The mother taking care of her baby in Krishna consciousness, the person cleaning the temple, the person cooking, the pujaris making the deities so nice, appearing so nice. We all have our place. Not everyone's the same. So leadership is to learn to appreciate that all the various aspects of society are being fulfilled for the pleasure of Krishna. And not everyone fits in the same mold. Srila Prabhupada established Bhaktivedanta Institute. Some of them had to go to college to get their PhDs in physics and science. And they were dressing like scientists. And trying to disprove atheistic theories with scientific evidence. Others were just cooking feasts. Others were raising families. Others were opening temples, doing book distribution, whatever it may be. Srila Prabhupada recognized and appreciated everyone. Taking care of children was one of the greatest priorities that Srila Prabhupada had. Raising the children so that they actually learn to love Krishna naturally. Because sustainability, we have to deal with the immediate problems, with the immediate issues at hand in such a way that it brings about a sustainable, Krishna-conscious, auspicious future. That's the Brahminical state of consciousness. Kshatriyas are needed. Kshatriyas are administrators. They see an issue and they do what's necessary now. We have to set the example for everybody around. We have to make the right decision now. But the Brahmins have to balance that with, yes, that may be, but how is it going to affect the Krishna consciousness of the society for the future? That takes realization, that takes a lot of experience. And a lot of balance. Because just getting things done the right way and setting the right example for today's experience is necessary. But what is the best possible example we can set and the best way to deal with a particular issue for the future? To sustain the faith in devotees' hearts, for the process of Krishna consciousness and for the society of devotees for the future. To sustain faith, to sustain trust. As devotees are passing through various stages of life, that's essential. And that's what Srila Prabhupada wanted us to do. In the early days, everything was quite perfect, but everyone was really young. Besides Srila Prabhupada, the senior-most devotees of our whole movement, when Prabhupada disappeared from this world, the senior-most devotees in our whole society had been in our movement between 7 and 10 years. They were the elders. Now we have devotees who've been in the movement for 50 years. So obviously there's there's different matters we have to address as far as sustainability, as far as faith, trust, lifestyle. Does that address your lecture?